of X. 2024 continues to bring the Krakoa era of X-Men to an end with Rise of the Powers of 10, jumping us 10 years into the future where Kieron, Gillen, and R.B. Silva riff off an all-new X-Men Days of Future Past. These are the X-Men comics you have been looking for. The Rise of the Powers of 10 is here, and this is Concluding Krakoa. Today I'll answer, what do you need to read to jump into Rise of the Powers of 10? What did we learn from Kieron Gillen's Immortal X-Men that tells us what's happening and what is to come? Some theories about what comes next. Hey everybody, I'm Dave Busing, founder and editor-in-chief, comicbookherald.com. You're listening to Concluding Krakoa number 2, a.k.a. Cracking Krakoa number 218. If you like the Comic Book Herald YouTube channel, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting. All that fun stuff helps more people find my videos, which makes me want to make more of them. You can join us for Comic Book Herald Live every week on Thursday, talking the day's theories and comics, answering listener questions, available 5:15 Central. Live episodes will be available for all the X-Men playlists on the channel, so don't worry if you miss it. You can find full X-Men and comic book reading orders on comicbookherald.com with links in the show notes. Some spoilers for Rise of the Powers of 10, number 1, may follow. Here's what you need to know to understand Rise of the Powers of 10, and some theories about what's to come. Please note that all this assumes you've read House of X and Powers of 10, both of which are beyond essential and some of the best Marvel comics of all time. Now, this issue opens, and it feels like we're in the future where Omega Sentinel and Nimrod make their play for AI domination. It feels like a 10-year later extension of what we're seeing happen in Fall of the House of X, where Orchis is running mutants off of Earth, as we saw in the Jerry Duggan written previous issue, Fall of the House of X number 1. We've talked how in Inferno and Fall of the House of X, the real threat is not Orchis, the anti-mutant organization of Earth, but instead it is AI, as embodied here by Nimrod, Omega Sentinel, and yes, evil robot Moira X. Moira, Nimrod, and Omega Sentinel build a world mind in order to attract a dominion. This is language from Jonathan Hickman's Powers of 10 about galactic societal intelligences. All you need to know, big, giant, cosmic stuff. Okay, as it is referenced here, the goal to become a dominion for the machines is, and I quote, all our data part of a perfect machine outside of time and space. The simplest way to understand dominionhood as it has been presented to us, it is machine gods, right? It is an AI outside of time and space. Omega, Nimrod, and Moira are trying to integrate with a dominion thousands of years early from technology Omega Sentinel brought back in time. They don't yet know who is behind the dominion god that they worship. Now, one important thing to call out here. Kieron Gillen changed some language, okay? Nimrod says, to Omega Sentinel, you were sent back here by the trickster Dominion. In the pages of Inferno, Jonathan Hickman wrote, when Omega Sentinel was telling the story, she said she was sent back by a trickster Titan. Why does this matter? Well, a Titan is a lower tier of galactic intelligence, not yet a Dominion. What we understand based on the Nimrod version of events here is after Mutants won, the Dominion, and we know who the Dominion is now, that's coming here in the video, sent Omega Sentinel back. That raises some questions. Why, right? There's a lot of questions to be asked here about why is who we know to be the Dominion, and I promise I'll be less cagey once we get there, doing the things that they're doing. Okay, Gillen is also having a lot of fun here with the Marvel Universe through these far-flung Marvel futures. We saw this in the Sins of Sinister event, which came earlier in 2023. And here we have Professor Synch, AI Iron Man, Captain Krakoa as Kamala Khan, Shadow Tiger, a.k.a. what's left of Kate Pryde after consuming the Death Seed, and, well, just Wolverine, just regular Wolverine. Dr. Stasis, creating an Earth Supreme Intelligence using Reed Richards, Bruce Banner, and Doctor Strange. That's some fun Marvel Universe mashup, too. Never let it be said that Kieron Gillen isn't having a grand old time mashing up far-flung Marvel futures. It's quite a joy to read. So, this is the Dr. Stasis timeline, is what we come to learn. This is where the human version of Mr. Sinister, and there are 4 versions of Sinister, and we're going to talk about those. This is where the human version is making his play. So although it seems like the AI is in control, right, and we have Omega Sentinel and Nimrod, leading the charge where the machines are taking over. They're trying to become a dominion outside of space and time. You also have Dr. Stasis, a.k.a. Club Sinister, aligning with Cadenia and the Children of the Vault for a dominion for post-humanity. I really appreciate Kieron Gillen bringing the Vault into this and the Children of the Vault. It would have been very easy to ignore after, Dennis Camp quite nicely wrapped a Children of the Vault saga in the Fall of X. Nonetheless, the Vault has been a major player. They represent post-humanity, which is kind of an extension of what humans can be, right? You have mutant evolution, you have machine evolution, and then you also have humans and post-humanity, okay? And it's important to note here that all Sinisters seek dominion, okay? All the Sinisters in these worlds, they all want to become the ultimate power themselves. That is their nature. Speaking of Sinisters, the mystery prisoner in Rise of the Powers of 10 that the X-Men are trying to save in their last-ditch effort to prevent this future that has come to pass where mutant kind is being eradicated and the machines are winning is, in fact, the original Red Diamond, Mr. Sinister, who, of course, has a failsafe to reset the timeline. This connects to something set up in the pages of Immortal X-Men. Kieron Gillen establishes in Immortal X-Men #1, the Moira engines. Okay, Mr. Sinister built, he cloned Moira's, used her mutant abilities to reset the timelines, and is basically using those as save points in the Marvel Universe. He's using his Moira clones. Safe to assume a Sinister has a failsafe. Wolverine, when he learns of this, kills him, hoping it will reset the timeline, give them a chance to do things over again. Classic Days of Future Past stuff. Okay, when the Dominion shows up, let's talk Dominion. Dr. Stasis attempts to take over the Dominion, but is stopped by the arrival of the King Sinister Dominion, who is calling himself Enigma. Also, Dr. Stasis is killed by Rasputin 4, but we'll get back to that. The King Sinister Dominion, what am I talking about? What am I talking about here? We have what the machines, Omega Sentinel and Nimrod, think is their god, is their machine god, shows up and says, no, once a mortal man, but now I am an AI, I am Enigma. I, in a live stream, not complained, but said here, we already have an Enigma. We got the Riddler. Why Enigma? Why are we doing that? Potential, nice connection in opposition to Doug Ramsey. This was pointed out to me a comment. Shouts to the commenter here. I don't have your name in front of me. That Enigma, code breaking. This could be some connection to Doug Ramsey and Cypher. That this also could be a connection to, oh boy, shouldn't be doing this live on a recording. But the Enigma stuff in that movie with Benedict Cumberbatch, the Imitation Games, and that very Alan Turing. There we go, Alan Turing. It came to me. Who is the King Sinister Dominion? As we learned in Immortal X-Men #18, Mother Righteous, one of the 4 Sinisters, making her play to become Dominion. Every Sinister makes a play to become Dominion. In Mother Righteous's play, she was using magic in the White Hot Room, trying to get to Dominion. When she got there, she found, no, somebody's already there. There's already someone there, and learned who it was. It's this King Sinister. Okay, take note of this one too, because Mother Righteous's attempts, her journey to Dominion from within the White Hot Room, where the Phoenixes reside, one of 3 known locations outside of space and time that are represented here. Okay, Dominions are outside of space and time, White Hot Room is outside of space and time, and no place, which we're going to get to, is outside of space and time. And yet, when Mother Righteous tried to become a Dominion from a place outside of space and time, the Dominion was able to find her and end her and stop her journey and use that. Who's the King Sinister Dominion? It's the OG. It's the original 18th century Nathaniel Essex. Saw what was coming. Destiny-like, okay, saw that the machine brains were coming, wanted a way to defeat them, to get ahead of them, concocted the 4 Sinister variations. So we have one for each suit of cards. We have a Sinister of clubs, spades, hearts, and diamonds. They all go on their quest to become Dominions. Nathaniel Essex found a way to get their data, to take their plans to become Dominion, and use that to become the actual king of Sinisters, the King Dominion themselves. Now, we've known since Sins of Sinister there was likely a Sinister who has already achieved Dominion. We just didn't know which of the 4 it would be. Turns out it was none of them. Great twist, brilliant twist here by Kieron Gillen. It was in fact the original, who we thought had died way back in the 18th century. This would explain, all of this explains Immortal X-Men #1, opening sequence where Destiny whispers something in Mr. Sinister's ear in 1919. says, and Mr. Sinister collapses to the ground, starts quoting John Cale's Paris 1919. You're a ghost, you're a ghost, you're a ghost. We get a quote here from Doug Ramsey later in the issue of Rise of the Powers of 10, number 1. Enigma is a ghost haunting the timeline. This is the phrase, the mysterious phrase we've seen repeated throughout Immortal X-Men. You're a ghost, you're a ghost, you're a ghost. Yeah, that's the Dominion. That is the original King Sinister / Enigma's fingerprints on everything. It seems that when Sinisters or individuals learn of this, when they learn that a Sinister is basically God of their timeline, they collapse and repeat, you're a ghost. A key question for me from this scene: how does Destiny know to tell Sinister of the Dominion in 1919 when she herself doesn't seem to know it until much later in Krakoa? I find that one interesting. Could we get a little timey-wimey in how she found that out? Possibly. We've also seen this refrain of you're a ghost with the original Sinister way back in Immortal X-Men number 8 when he's concocting his plans for the first time as well. So again, it is this ridiculously challenging notion of an entity that is so far outside of time and space that they could have had in hand in anything, right? Once there's not a before and after with Dominionhood, okay? Once Nathaniel Essex becomes the Dominion, he has always been a Dominion throughout all of this timeline. Very complicated. How do you stop that? How do you fight that? Well, we're going to have to look at the timelines. The timelines that we know. We have Moira's mutant abilities. Again, if you've read House of X number 2, you understand this. Lives 1 through 10. Life 10 is Krakoa, okay? Then branching out from the Krakoa timeline, you have Omega Sentinel's timelines. She was sent back in time from a future where the mutants won, brings us back to the Krakoa of Life 10. Then you have each of the 4 suits of Sinister's attempts to become a Dominion. So you have Dr. Stasis is what we read here in Rise of the Powers of 10, number 1. You have the Sinister Red Diamond timeline. That is Sins of Sinister event, where it makes it as far as 1,000 years out in the future. We have a Mother Righteous timeline that I just discussed, which occurs in Gillen's Immortal X-Men, takes place in the White Hot Room. And then the one that we don't know, the one that we don't know anything about so far, Orbis Stellaris, the cosmic space Sinister, goes 15 years into the future. I don't think we've seen anything of this one yet. I'm sure that is to come. Why does all this matter? What is the point of all this, right? Why do we need to understand the timelines and how all this is working? Well, at the end of this issue, we go back to No Place X, another outside of time and space location. We find out what Professor X and Rasputin 4 were planning in Fall of House of X number 1. They start by trying to stop Sinister's ascension to Dominion, right? So that's what's happening in the Dr. Stasis timeline. We have this No Place X crew. They are trying to stop Dr. Stasis, thinking, well, maybe he's the one who becomes the Dominion, right? Doug has a great quote here, talking of the X-Men and their battles of Orcus. They're fighting for tomorrow. We're fighting for forever. That definitely summarizes the key differences between Fall of the House of X and Rise of the Powers of 10. And I think in many ways why I'm a lot more excited about Rise of the Powers of 10, right? This is the battle for forever. This is the crazy long game cosmic stuff. Fall of the House of X is the present. It is the battle against Orcus in the current moment. So, to stop the Dominion, what do? Professor X's contingency plan, pretty much what I predicted. Pretty much what Dave Finney said in the Fall of the House of X video. We gotta kill Moira, okay? That's the plan. Kill Moira before she turns 13 and her mutant gift activates. That is Big Charlie's compromise. Classically compromised. Professor X says here, we got to stop the Moira lifelines before Krakoa can ever come to fruition. Obviously, this will upset a lot of Krakoa fans, but here's an important thing to note. Professor X's plans never work. Okay, that's going to matter here too. We have 2 mystery members of the No Place X crew, BT Dubs. We've got Rasputin 4, Professor X, and Doug Ramsey. My guesses for the 2 mystery members: Krakoa, Legion, Manifold, and the OG Sinister themselves, who was in that pit in Krakoa. Might we be seeing the Red Diamond Sinister? I would not be surprised. It's a great extension here too of Kieron Gillen's characterization of Professor Charles Xavier from Immortal X-Men number 13. In conversation with Doug Ramsey in that issue, he says, it's all up to me, right? He thinks he's the one who has to do everything, who has to save mutant kind, who has to save or end Krakoa. Those decisions, Professor X thinks they're all on his shoulder. Doug says here, you can't do it. You have to let it go. I'm very interested to see it explained how and why Krakoa and Doug are with Professor X again, because Doug seems to know better. The No Place itself is a pretty big mystery too, right? What is this thing? How did Moira find it? How the hell is it outside space and time and allowing them to do this? Interesting questions to be developed here in Rise. Okay, finally, let's talk about the future. Destiny has had some new visions in the Krakoa era, but has never been able to lock down which ones are real or right? Her predictive powers have really been tested throughout the Krakoa era. Now take note, even in this image of visions that Destiny has here in a splash in Immortal X-Men #3, one of the best comics in the entire Krakoa era of X-Men, the only thing that we haven't seen come to pass here, I think, there's two of them actually, so far. Number one, magic, standing atop dead bodies of the X-Men. We haven't seen that. My guess is that's the limbic infernality timeline. We'll show you what that means in a second. Also take note, looks like Dark Phoenix. That looks like Jean Grey. Have we seen a Phoenix yet? Have we seen the Phoenixes? No, but it has been heavily teased. I'm going to tell you right here, Phoenixes, they're a-coming. Now, Destiny does seem to run into Dominion in Krakoa when she has her new visions, but she also falls into You're a Ghost mode, right? She gets ghosted by Dominion here. This is the part when I mention in Immortal X-Men #1 how she's somehow able to tell a Sinister of, seemingly, the existence of a Dominion, which sends them falling to their doom. How does she do that if she herself doesn't learn until later? Somebody explain that to me here in the comments. I bet you all have theories. I want to hear them. Okay, let's talk timelines. Let's talk what's to come. Here's Destiny's visions from Immortal X-Men #3. Every vision that she sees possibilities of what may come to pass. Several of these we have seen actually happen, okay, or referenced. The key one, though, is right here, because Judgment Day is an event written by Kieron Gillen. It's pretty solid. I think we're on the Judgment Day timeline, okay? We have seen the Empire of the Red Diamond. That's Mr. Sinister's timeline in Sins of Sinister. That extends to the Storm system, where it ends as well, because that timeline was then reset. We kind of see the Broken Sword here as well. In a future Nimrod Extinction event, those are a dime a dozen. The one that we haven't seen, the one that we have not seen, a new Krakoa. That feels like the most likely landing place for the fall of the House of X and Rise of the Powers of 10. I think that's where we're going. Okay? I think a lot of X-Men fans are concerned right now that the end of the Krakoa era is going to mean the removal of any sign that this era ever happened. I don't think that's what the X-Office wants. I don't think that's what Marvel Comics wants. Krakoa is not going to be as big a piece. I don't think. But I do think there is going to be a new Krakoa. Does that mean on Arakko? On Mars? Does that mean elsewhere in the galaxy? Does that mean in an alternate reality? In a timeline? I don't know. I don't know yet, but that's where we're going. I can just about promise it. Another Dave Stinney lock? We're getting Phoenixes. Phoenixes are coming, okay? We got a boatload from Immortal X-Men of mutants trapped in the White Hot Room where Phoenixes reside. We got Jean Grey resurrection talk. It's what she does. It's basically her secondary mutant ability. It's a resurrection. The Phoenixes are coming. Now, it is important to note, in the original data page, in which Jonathan Hickman described Phoenixes, or described Dominions, he said Dominions are afraid of two things: the World Leader Galactus and Phoenixes. We're getting some Phoenix action here in Rise of the Powers of 10. I guarantee it. What else comes next? You tell me. Let me hear it here in the comments. I want to know what you think is coming in Fall of the House of X and Rise of the Powers of 10. I also want to know, you digging these comics? I'm here for Rise. I'm here for what Gillen's doing. I think Gillen's been writing awesome X-Men comics. I'm very excited about what is to come in Rise of the Powers of 10, #2, as well as X-Men Forever, where Kieron Gillen answers some additional mysteries. I'm Dave. You can listen to Comic Book Herald. You can support the channel over at patreon.com/Comic Book Herald. Thank you to our mysterious benefactors for backing at a certain tier: Jesse W., Chris Murfica, Roosh, Mike Solomons, Tree91, and Marcus. Those are our mysterious benefactors this week. Thanks so much for your support. You can support Comic Book Herald at any Comic Book Herald enterprise. You can also look for the best comics ever and My Marvelous Year podcasts. Like, subscribe, share, and comment, please. All that will help people find this video. Otherwise, all I ask, enjoy the comics.